those efforts. Across the next 2 weeks, we are going to watch.
Pipe dream, that's not going to happen, but he might be able to just do it by just rolling up into Cyril's face. He's the prophecy! It's done!
One of these four dropping notes by our Blizzard player. In the southeast of Disco.
Hugo down, the main block, the majority of them. Ultras are on the way.
For a good time, Rainer down on army supply, down on workers, and possibly now down again in the WCS final. GG! One more time, one more trophy.
Rogue showing no remorse is able to move through into the round of 8 here as he dispatches of Trap. And nothing sends end by suffering more like a Game 3 insta-GG from Trap's side of things in this series. Welcome back to the Analysis Desk. My name is James Carroll, and to my left-hand side I have Pig and I have Maynard joining me here once again. The Aussie connection in full force. Gentlemen, we just saw Rogue absolutely take away this series from Trap and maul it.
He certainly did. The whole plan here of Trap was as clear as day. Hit a timing and end it before the painful things come out.
Please
whether
help.
that be the Broodlords or the Infestors,
Yeah.
or whether it be the Nidus Worms or the Swarm Hosts. Sometimes it worked, but just the one time, unfortunately, this series.
It looked so nice. You know, this was a lovely timing attack, and it really just hit that crisp window, smashing it in. So I really like this one. You know, just under 60 workers. Don't take the gases on the third, charge that Archon Immortal. It's a fantastic timing, it's a classic one. But as the series went on, you know, it did feel a little bit like Trap was doing these build orders which weren't what you think is strong right now. We're looking at big maps, long rush distances.
Yeah.
2-base robo, 40 probe timing attacks were not really, I mean, they're not what we're expecting to do well on this map pool.
Sure.
Clearly it's worked well for Trap in practice. I thought I was going to learn something new, but it was just the same old kind of Immortal Sentry push, relying on good force fields. Rogue respected this so well. He always had a good economy up, made a ton of ravages.
Oof.
And I mean, even having speed banes up against this push, there was no chance in that game.
I mean, even before that push, the nail was in the coffin, right? He tried to do a similar, smaller push quite like that. However, it was not successful. And then I feel like we're in a film of Hot Fuzz here. Basically, it was like, no, look, catching them Swarm Hosts then.
Yeah.
And, well, they just...
Your favorite bit of the series, James, this one, right?
Yeah, it was really fun, actually.
Please
There we go.
There it is.
And he's out of there.
Yeah, and this game just started off really rough for Trap, opening the Bifrost with that one Immortal, but it's just already damaged, and it's stuck behind a wall in, wasn't here with this attack, and this is the kind of thing that if the Zerg even catches a whiff of it, it is actually not... for someone as good as Rogue, it's relatively trivial to respond to it.
Well, we were just discussing this backstage, and we're saying, you know, surely you've got to trick your opponent in some way, right? But
yeah.
Rogue was like, hey, man, I got OV speed. He flies in with the Overlord,
Yeah.
sees it, comes back, checks, and he's like, oh, I know exactly what's happening. He had like 2 minutes to prepare for this. I think maybe Trap needed to embrace some of that hero style, like fake it and then take the third, you know, macro up a bit more. I feel like there needed to be some misdirection. Trap was playing a little bit too straight up.
That means Rogue Events is on here whilst we watch some of the closing moments of this series as it pushes away all of the Protoss. Rogue moves on to another round of 8 in terms of the World Finals here, the Global Finals for StarCraft 2. And as, you know, they were saying in the commentary, you know, to Taste of Swatosis, he feels like Rogue could quite easily go all the way. Let's check in with the results once we talk a little bit further here as a whole. What do you think your prospects are for Rogue being able to do well in the round of 8?
I mean, Rogue is an absolute monster, and he was only stopped, you know, last year by Cyril.
Yeah.
I think Rogue, for a long time, I saw him as a player who was so good in the late game, and I thought he had the best late game Zerg versus Zerg in the world as well until Cyril came along. So I think, honestly, that's the match that looks most problematic for Rogue. But, you know, there's so many good names that someone like Maru as well has historically found a way to beat Rogue, even when we thought Rogue was the favorite.
Got to be scared if you're a Protoss if you end up going up against Rogue in that round of 8. Regardless, that brings us on to our next match here. It is going to be Elazer going up against Neeb, our 2 WCS circuit combatants to make their way into this group. Maynard, when you look at this, Elazer versus Neeb, it's not a fixture that we've kind of too unfamiliar with, I should say. Correct my English there for a moment. What are your anticipations here for this match?
My expectations? I actually feel like Neeb's going to do pretty well here. Historically, they actually, Neeb's had like an overwhelming winning record, even though it did actually go Elazer's way at the GSL vs. the World the last time they faced, just a couple months ago. Big question on my mind is Elazer going to be the only Zerg that doesn't get out of his group?
What do you think, Pig?
I think it's going to be an interesting match. When you look at the way Elazer plays, very timing-oriented player. He likes to, really study his opponent, get a hard read, and then get way ahead or punish them with some sort of big attack. So I think when he looks at this, a lot of this comes down to how well Elazer can read Neeb's build orders based off the maps. Neeb, he has a plan. He's shown a lot of his PvZ strategies already in that series against Rogue. And I think it comes down to, I look at it and say, on paper, if they play their standard game, Neeb is favored. But if Elazer can figure out, hey, wait, I think you're going to play this build on this map, he could come out with some very creative ways of hard countering him.
All right, well, one of these players is going home right after this. It's the elimination match here in Group D to find out who is going to move on to that deciders match. Let's head into it. It's Elazer going up against Neeb.
All right, here we go. Artosis alongside Rotterdam. And we have an all-foreigner elimination match.
Elazer going up against Neeb. We had this fixture just a couple months ago in GSL vs. the World, as Maynard mentioned. And that was one hell of a series, guys. Elazer won it very surprisingly, 3-2, with an absolutely ridiculous Mentor Game 5 on King's Cove. One of the funniest games probably you're going to see all year. Let's see what the series has in store for us today. We've seen a lot of Swarmels, we've seen a lot of Nidus. Historically, this doesn't go very well for Elazer. Neeb is up 11-2 in series, but other than the GSL vs. the World, you know where else he won?
Where?
In the Nidus Opens Cup. So.
Oh no, not again! Okay, we're gonna jump into game number 1 on World of Sleepers. In the top right, our Polish Zerg player. He is
Ego Esports, Elazer.
And in the left bottom side of the World of Sleepers, we're looking at the main base of the American Protoss. It is
Ting, Neeb.
I'm trying to think of this match and who I actually think is going to win. Okay. And first expansion down to the rich guys are cool. Okay, let's get it started. But, I think about it, right? I think that Trap played much better against Elazer than he did against Rogue. And I think that Neeb played much better against Rogue than Trap did. So I'm having a hard time putting their previous performance in this group against each other, because normally you just look at the games on the surface, like the results and everything, and say, well, Neeb should be heavily favored. But I don't think it's quite that cut and dry. I don't know, what do you think?
I'm leaning a little more towards Neeb, but I also do believe that Elazer probably has 1 or 2 very weird builds up his sleeves, because that's just the kind of player he is. He always prepares 1 or 2 very specific builds, and since this is World of Sleepers, I think it's a very tricky map for Protoss to go up against Zerg, and Elazer already taking that base in the middle of the map. Like, this could very well be some weird Roach Queen Rush or something, right, of 31 drones. That's very possible.
Yeah, I mean, that is possible. Like, it is World of Sleepers, too. There's always some stupid things that you can do with those mineral patches and whatnot. Well, I'll be interested to see what he wants to pull out here. A little bit of harassment going on. Hitting that drone fighting back.
I have to admit, I really had to giggle when I saw their record, 11-2, and Elazer winning one of their encounters in the Nidus Open. So I was like, all right.
Great tournament name.
Yeah, Maybe that was destiny. That was years ago, by the way, guys. So historically, Neeb is very good against Elazer. We'll see if he can keep that record intact here. Going Stargate first. I think Stargate against a weird expand is actually quite solid, right? Because you need to kind of know what's happening. Elazer immediately dropping that forward creep tumor. I've actually played against a couple of very insane builds on this map myself, where suddenly there's like 9 queens running to the other side of the map. And you're like, I thought this was a larger map, and it is. But if the first hatchery is in the middle of it, it suddenly all shows up a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
certainly.
cool.
Oh, look at that. Oh, I love it. Denying a little bit of mining here, getting a kill.
It's going to take a while before Zergling speed is done, by the way. Look at that. This one Adept has the potential to be very annoying.
And it is being very annoying. Has already killed a drone, caused some lost mining time, killed a couple lings.
Wants to get one more drone, doesn't get the second one yet. Maybe sniped one more there that was being transferred. So far, Elazer is not showing us any signs of aggression. He's just going up to 3 bases. He's droning up behind this. Now, obviously, eventually, when he takes his rich Vespian geyser, then he does get a little economic boost, right? It's kind of like saving yourself 4 drones.
Yeah, and that's totally reasonable. You know, I gotta say, from Neeb's last series, I really liked his Glaives builds. You know, some of these aggressive plays that he was doing against Rogue, and I would really like to see him continue that. But I don't know, there's been so much like 3 Oracle into take a 3rd base, you're making immortals, and then Locusts start attacking you and you die in this tournament so far, right? So I want to see some of these more aggressive builds.
Yeah, the only downside is that I think the Ravager in general is a fantastic unit, right? Against the majority of the simple gateway pushes, that is, or you know, anything that doesn't include charge or a bunch of Archons. It suddenly seems like the Ravager is so powerful. We saw that of Rogue as well on this map. He's just like, all right, you want to attack me, Trap? That's fine. I'm standing here. I have my Roachborn ready. I have a lot of Ravagers. But what I like a lot more from Protoss, and that's a little bit to go back to those Glaives builds that you mentioned, is just Protoss players being a little more reckless early on and getting those drone kills, right? And I feel like it goes for TVZ a little bit as well. I'm always a bigger fan of Terrans that go crazy with their Hellions and get a bunch of drones, and the Hellions who just push back the creep, but then eventually fall 27 workers behind.
Yeah, you know, that is pretty fair, to be honest. A lot of these earlier game units that you're utilizing, like Adepts and Hellions, don't really scale into the later game, so if you can trade them out, it can be quite powerful.
That's quite the creep highway, by the way. That's quite the amount of queens. I have the feeling that Elazer is going to do what I mentioned in the beginning of the game, just a little bit later. But he's not tacking up yet, right? Imagine if there was a Dark Shrine this game, by the way. That'd be so sick.
That would be insane. Unfortunately, just a Templar Archives. He is getting charge, but that creep highway, as you said, it's getting really far forward. Elazer's just sitting on 41 workers, so this attack is incoming.
Yep, and this is a very committed attack. Neeb is Archon is going to take quite some damage. Whoa, the Oracle almost went down there. He does manage to save it in the end. Neeb expands in the middle? What? Artosis, wise? Okay, he cancelled it. I was like, okay, he gets a couple of Adepts in the main base. He sees there is no lair tag, by the way, so I think this was the cue. Immediately he starts building batteries. Neeb now knows what's going on. And let's see if Elazer still commits or not.
Look at that, he kills 7 drones during all that. So Elazer's suddenly down to just 34 workers. A lot of Ravagers being made. This Archon drop getting out here and trying to put some pressure on.
Those are some good shots, by the way.
Yeah, the transfusions at least being forced out right now. The battery's starting to finish up. Some Immortals on the way.
I mean, technically, I feel like Neeb should be able to hold it. It's not going to be easy. You probably want to rebuild that Cybercore in the main base or something as quickly as possible.
What about right next to where it is now?
No, let's not do that.
Okay,
We've seen it a couple of times already. These gates are going to fall as well, but obviously every second goes by is a decent one for Neeb, who's actually thinking about counter-attacking during all of this. Just 1 or 2 Zealots can obviously mess the economy of Elazer up even more.
Yeah, but Elazer right now pushing very, very hard. Does pull back those Zerglings very smartly. He's busted down the entire wall, but Neeb being very, very patient at the moment.
Yep, now the batteries are going to be on the fire though, so this is kind of where you want to start committing. The Phoenix flies in, lifts one of these queens. Ravages are amazing, but if the Roaches and Queens are gone, suddenly Ravages become very, very squishy. And I have the feeling that with just a couple Zealots, Neeb should be able to do it here, even though those Archons are running very low on HP.
Yeah, he's about to lose all the Archons. The Archons now are dead. Some lifts going down right now. The Immortals pushing forward. They still have high health, so he's doing a good job with that. Some more Zealots coming in, but now the Zerglings flooding in on top of everything.
Yeah, the Cross of Baal is actually doing some damage to these links as well. One Immortal goes down. The other Immortal is trapped, by the way, which means he's going to eat these. That War Prism really should have been home. Neeb. That would have been so useful to have. Now it's finally here. It's going to try to save these Immortals for as long as they can.
But the damage output is so much, it's so fast. The 2 batteries biled down so quickly here, but a lot of these Ravagers are getting low. Can he hold on?
I mean, he's already lost a lot of probes, so even if he does defend here, he's still going to be in trouble, but I'm not even sure if he can. He's going to be forced to pick up these Immortals over and over again. I love that Elazer, I think he's sending a couple of Zerglings into the main base already, so that's going to be very annoying. I really feel if Neeb would have had that Prism from the very get-go defensively, this would have been a lot more doable.
Yeah, it definitely could have helped quite a bit there, but now with this many Ravagers on your front door, I mean, the amount of juggling you need to do to kill all this off is immense.
Yep, and obviously all of the buildings are gone, gateways are gone, all the batteries are gone at this point, so Elazer can always just run a couple of links in and just right-click on a couple of workers, and that's really going to hurt as well. I mean, the micro now is good by Neeb, but it just feels like he's really running out of steam.
Yeah, still trying to push him back. I mean, he might get these Ravagers to retreat for a little bit, but more units being created right now. A lot of Roaches and Queens, some Lings as well for Elazer. And Neeb barely able to stay alive.
Look at how much work this Prism has done though since it was here, and it really makes you wonder, if that Prism was here all along defensively, would this have gone a lot better for Neeb? I think it's pretty obvious that the answer is yes. And of course it can be tricky to micro a Prism against all these Queens, but it's still so much better to have it than to not have it at all. The counterattack did nothing because Elazer had a couple of Lings spotting that Prism, and I think that Neeb is regretting that choice of sending that Prism out.
Yeah, it can be a hard one. You know, sometimes that's what really wins you the game is the little bit of counter-harassment during the push. But here, the push just a little bit too strong. Elazer coming in with a strong strategy, and GG is called. Elazer takes game number 1.
Yep. Really, I mean, it's a cool build by Elazer. I think it is not that unique. Like, I've seen it quite a few times, and it makes sense, because if you take that first hatch in the middle of the map, it's suddenly a lot easier to make that creep highway towards the natural of the Protoss. He did it of a slightly stronger economy than I've seen it in the past, but yeah, that really worked out for him, because that made this not just a little all-in with a couple of units, no, it made an all-in with an insane amount of Ravagers, and it is difficult to micro. Like, microing against 3-4 Ravagers is always very doable, but against 9 or 10, like, that's suddenly a lot more difficult.
Well, he was bombing down batteries even very, very quickly. We had a couple that finished, barely got any healing off, and bam, they were already gone. So really keeping the pressure on there, definitely the map helping Elazer out a bit, but we are done with World of Sleepers, moving on to Ephemeron.
Let's get it on. Game 2 between Neeb and Elazer, starting up right now.
In the bottom right, winning with a beautifully executed rush, he is
Ego Esports, Elazer.
On the left top side, we're looking at the main base of the Protoss, who's trying to make it into the playoffs for the first time since 2016. It is
Team Neeb.
Back then, he played under the ID Neeblet. He didn't want to be Neeb that year. He wanted to be a Neeblet.
It's always funny.
You know, Dan, I think I'm gonna use that quote that you just used for my own stream.
What?
You know, I'm a player who doesn't really like vetoing maps because I like the variety of playing on all 7 maps. But I lately, when I'm in my super tryhard mode, have realized that a couple of times I'll sneak in a little veto on the World of Sleepers because of builds like that, and I find them so difficult to deal with. But I love how you just said what we were talking about is like, we are done with World of Sleepers and we're moving on. And from now on, I'm going to use that. But people ask, Roddy, what went wrong in that game? We are done with World of Sleepers and we're moving on.
No, it can definitely be a tough map. There's no question about that. And I like the flexibility of Elazer where you can mix in a build like that. Obviously, that works well because it's a forward expansion. It has that rich geyser and all. But Ephemeron is such a different map with all the bridges and everything. What do you think that we should be seeing here out of Neeb if he is to put his name on the board?
I mean, we saw him play Glaive at depths earlier, and it worked out very well for him, even though he didn't get that much drone damage against Rogue. Rogue did an insane amount of damage to himself by making 1 million Zerglings and then not even getting the adepts in the first place. So I wouldn't hate it, but Elazer is also the kind of Zerg where I'd be a little more hesitant against of opening up Glaives, because I do feel that Glaives is weak against certain counter all-ins, right? And
yeah.
if there is one thing we know from Elazer, is like, yes, he likes to macro and he likes to talk about his late game, but deep down inside, he will always be that incredibly good, aggressive Zerg that he has been since the very beginning of his career.
No, truly, that was kind of his niche back in the day when he and Nurchio were the big Zergs from Poland. Nurchio, the macro player, Elazer, well, the cheeser, to be fair.
And like not necessarily a cheeser as in some of the other players we've seen in the past where all they can do is bailing bus of 18 drones or proxy hatchery. No, he can go up to the 50 drones, but then he'll never stop units. He doesn't start the Eva chamber when you're supposed to. Or he'll make the Hydra dam, but he will actually only build roaches and stuff like that. Elazer, his strength, his true strength has always been his aggression. And of course he has evolved a lot over the years as a player, and he's much better right now in the late game. We saw him handle the late game army quite well against Trap. I don't think it was perfect, but it was pretty damn decent. But we know that if you open up Glaives against this young man and it doesn't really do the right amount of damage, he knows exactly the right amount of units he needs as a Zerg to immediately kill you. And we're not even talking about Swarmos Nidus then. He can make it a lot simpler for himself.
Although, you know, that is getting pretty popular right now, so wouldn't be overly surprised to see him mix that in.
Like, if you're a Zerg player right now, right then, and that is a build that you have not practiced at all coming into this tournament, would you suddenly start using it with this much on the line?
Honestly, I don't think you should switch from the builds you've already decided to use before a tournament.
I agree with that.
I think that is, it's kind of a rookie mistake. Like, I mean, it's something for any of you out there that have played tournaments before, I'm sure it's something that you've done, right, Roddy? There's definitely been tournaments where at the last second you're like, no, I'm going to use this other thing I haven't practiced. And once you do it, you realize, oh, I don't know the ins and outs of this. This is the stupidest thing I have ever done. So, yeah, if he hasn't practiced that a little bit, then I would say absolutely just stick to what you know, play your best quality games, because even if something is like really powerful or even overpowered, it's not the only way to win. There's so many ways to win in StarCraft.
Yep, this is kind of nice actually that the depth shade wasn't ready yet. So a single Zergling is going to run into the main base. Elazer knows what he's up against. We'll end up losing 2 drones for now. It's very important here, of course, for Neeb that he keeps his Oracle alive. Whoa, look at those adepts. What are they doing here?
Yeah, kind of a sneaky little spot for them right there. Well, he has the Oracle to help out a bit, but I don't think he's going to get anything to... Oh, my God.
That's really rough.
Well, hopefully he gets like 8 drones with those adepts. Nope, they shaded home.
All right, so not the perfect start here for Neeb that he was hoping for. Now, of course, we've seen plenty of Protoss players win games after losing an Oracle, but we know Oracles are kind of like Phoenixes, right? The more you have them, the better they work together, the easier it is to pick off these units. Now, I must say, sometimes Zerg players do get a little overconfident after they snipe the first Oracle, and they'll be like, ha, don't have anything to worry about anymore. Now, obviously, 1 Phoenix and 2 Oracles can still deal an insane amount of damage. So it's important that Elazer stays on the money, but he's got to be feeling pretty good with his defenses so far.
Well, right now, Elazer, after forcing all of that back and getting that Oracle kill, throws down his lair, grabs 3 more gases and his Roach Warren. So definitely teching up and getting ready for the future. Neeb, on the other hand, with the 3rd Nexus, getting into the Twilight and Forge while building Immortals, looks pretty standard on both sides, to be honest.
Only 10 links out so far by Elazer, right? Definitely didn't waste a lot of larva on units he didn't need. Queen's in good positions as well, even though Neeb's gonna ignore it, so this is quite a commitment. Probably not that many queens in the main base, but...
Well, maybe that many queens in the main base.
Yeah,
3 of them waiting for him.
It means that now nothing is in the natural. Maybe he can pick a couple of drones up that are on the gases, and that is exactly what he's gonna set up for.
Ooh,
he's getting all 6. That's very sweet.
Yeah, really nice micro there by Neeb.
What do you think of Burrow?
Burrow?
Yes, Burrow.
And Roach speed. Huh.
And then probably Thundering Claws as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course you should end up getting that if you get Burrow, why not? Also throwing down the Hydralisk Den and the Baneling Nest.
He's just getting everything.
Is there any other buildings?
Maybe the Infestation Pit? A Nidus
Well,
network?
that's the funny thing. The 2 really popular things are what he doesn't get.
This is why I like Elazer.
Yeah.
It's like everybody else only gets 2 buildings. I get all of them besides those 2.
Yeah, are you not amused? I mean, come on, this is exactly what we want to see, something different out of our Zerg players.
It's quite the production tab that
we
we're
got
looking
Hydra's
at right
upgrades. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused on what he wants to do with the Burrow, to be honest. I'm not, like, the thing is, Burrow doesn't cost that much. It is a good upgrade. You can find uses for it. I'm just not sure what his plan is with that, especially considering he's focusing on Hydra production.
Maybe a link drop later on and burrow a couple circlings in the main base to be super annoying. Or he's going to burrow 2 banelings in the middle line, wait until all the probes are queued up, and then we're going to get a highlight reel.
I mean, Baneling landmines against the army, maybe he's noticed that Neeb doesn't walk around with an observer or something. I'm not sure, but I guess we'll see on that. Infestation Pit on the way, as well as the second evolution chamber. Neeb going into Storm, as you definitely do need against Hydra Tech.
Yep, against Hydra or Bane, you absolutely do want Storm. Against the Ravager Bane, a couple of Protoss players have found some success not getting Storm and just trying to get an insane amount of Archons, but against Hydras, you're gonna need Storm. That Oracle is important.
Ooh.
I mean, Stasis Trap's gonna be important. There's no shield battery in the natural. Neeb, you need a warp in there very quickly. He's gonna warp in a sentry. Is it gonna be in time? Well, sort of.
Well, yeah, I mean, it works.
I mean, the fort base is under pressure. I'm not sure if Neeb is going to be able to keep his fort base alive. He warped in a couple of adepts, but they're very exposed. But it should still be good enough. I mean, this was kind of a weird attack, right, by Elazer?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he's going for. Just kind of poking and prodding all over the place. He is rushing right up to the hive, though. Also, Baneling speed on the way as expected.
I would say maybe a lurker then? No, now he goes for the Spire. I was wondering if he was going to get that a bit quicker, but I guess he's not too worried about it. So Elazer is kind of still playing the same way as he did against Trap on Thunderbird. He's just getting there in a slightly different manner.
Yeah, pretty quickly teching up to that. He is only on 4 bases right now, and Neeb is securing his 4th without really taking damage, to be honest. Look at this, 78 workers, looking very healthy as far as economy goes. Neeb even taking a 5th base on time with Elazer.
And now getting 2 extra Stargates and a fleet beacon. And I truly wonder, what are the first air units that Neeb is? Is he gonna go for those Tempests like we've seen so many times already, or is he gonna start maybe getting those air upgrades immediately and head straight into carriers?
You know, honestly, I think he's gonna go into Tempest.
I think so too.
Because he already has the Storm support and everything.
He does get +1 immediately.
Yeah,
3
but
Stargates. Tempest built fast. Carriers built what? 5 Stargate? Okay, now he has to go carrier, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. If you get that many, it's not like you need 5 Tempests at once. But the thing is, with this army against what he's against, I actually feel like Tempest is a better choice than carrier here, don't you?
I always think carriers are better.
I guess I'm talking to the wrong guy here.
No. I get what you're saying. It's just I'm not a believer in the Tempest. I must say, Elazer is doing some really cool multi-prong here. He's getting that 5th base.
Yeah.
He is getting a little bit of economic damage on as well. But for Neeb, it's not that bad, right? 4 base is still really good. And already getting his +1. I think it's very important he keeps upgrading the air attack. That Baneling drop is going to be very cool as well.
Well, for sure, he's got to get his upgrades going.
Oh, there's no shield battery here. It's only +1 Banes.
Yep. Still. Losing some units.
Wow, that's a good snipe. That's a really sweet snipe.
There were 4 roaches in that one, actually.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Greater Spire on the way. Adrenal here as well. A couple of +2 attack upgrades for Elazer.
That's a good stasis trap as well.
Yeah.
I really kind of like the way that Neeb is playing this. I love that he's going straight into the carriers.
Yeah, the fact that he's going for mass carry, or he's setting himself up for mass carry, he's not really making it as of yet. I think his economy is being stunted a little bit by Elazer here. You see, he just keeps multi-prong harassing.
Yeah, but this stuff is not cheap, right, by Elazer. Like, it looks cool and it may look successful, but he's really not getting that much done. And Elazer is not that rich. He's absolutely hoping for more. We do see the first Corruptors on the way.
Yeah, definitely getting ready to add those Broodlords into the army. Going after this 5th base again easily cancels it off.
Yeah, the army movement by Elazer is really good, but once again, these moves are not cheap. He's actually throwing away an insane amount of links, an insane amount of banelings as well. He's really not getting that much out of it. Like, if he was canceling the fort base over and over again, I'd be like, oh man, Neeb is in all the trouble.
Oh, yeah, he'd be dead at that point. But look at this, a huge surround right there, eliminating a lot of very expensive units from Neeb. Neeb walking down. Of course, he can still save this Nexus, but losing big chunks of his army, and now some probes as well.
Okay, this is a Nexus you really don't want to lose. Like, losing the 5th is something, but losing the 4th, that is absolutely catastrophic here. An excellent attack by Elazer. Neeb just wasn't able to keep track of the army movement of Elazer. He was running circles around Neeb, and I think after the Oracles went down, that's a really painful one, and that's the success that Elazer was looking for. Even though he once again lost a lot of units, Elazer's economy is still fantastic. Neeb's economy, I mean, I don't want to say it's in shambles, but it's definitely not looking pretty.
No, this is looking really rough at the moment. Look at that, though. Adrenaline even kills that sentry. Very painful indeed. Some more harassment. Elazer just trying to keep Neeb over here while he remaxes.
Now that Elazer spots the carriers, I almost feel with the economy that he has, he can just build mass corruptor now. Like, I wouldn't even make Brood Lords at this point. I'd just keep making corruptors. Just
totally.
right-click on the carrier.
And then you can just turn him into Brood Lords later on to deal with the Archons and whatnot. He's getting Neural, though, and a bunch of Infestors. I don't feel like that's necessarily what you need here. Not that Neural is bad or Infestors are ever bad, but yeah.
It's like, guys, that's not what we're saying, okay? Like, 7 people were about to get really upset. They're like, what? And it's like, no. Infestors and Neurals are always good.
Yeah, I think like you said, I think there's a cleaner way to victory. If you eliminate the carriers, Neeb doesn't have a chance in this game.
I mean, StarCraft 2 is a very, very complicated game, so if you can keep it simple for yourself, I think that's always the right way to do it. And with 85 drones and 5 bases, I honestly think you can just make 20 Corruptors, right-click on the carriers, and I don't really see what could possibly go wrong.
That's a great quote, Roddy. I gotta point that out before I forget it. The StarCraft is a really complicated game, and it's good to keep it simple for yourself. That's a really good way to look at this as well.
It's what I often, like when newer players come into the game and they're like, oh, I'm stuck in Platinum League and what should I do? And I always feel that people get too lost in their own games. Like, it's fun to be on 5 bases and stuff, but especially if you're new, keep it simple. First Fungal does land on a couple of these high Templars. I don't know how much anti-air we have here for Elazer. I'm a bit sad, by the way, because Neeb took so much economic damage, right, that he couldn't keep upgrading the carriers. And I feel that air upgrades are like the most underrated thing in the game. Neural does land on one of these carriers.
Yeah, a lot of damage there. Psystorm's going off, some Fungals going down as well. Oh my god, so many Neurals here. A carrier fleet for the Zerg.
Does he have like any observers here at all? Or?
I don't think so.
I mean, the carriers have been taken over. 2 carriers trying to get away, but they're running very low on HP. In the end, all the carriers go down. There isn't that much anti-air here, but it's just barely enough. Neeb getting a little impatient there, stepping on creep. GG gets called. Elazer takes a 2-0 lead. I honestly think that this game was won when he came over that bridge and he surrounded those Archons and those Immortals, and he suddenly got that fort base. Like, that was massive.
I actually, even when he surrounded that army, I didn't think he'd get the 4th Nexus. It felt like Neeb should have had enough to bully his way down and get it, but Elazer's multi-pronged harassment was great. His army movement was fantastic.
Yep.
It's funny, too, because I feel like Neeb actually, like, strategically there outdid him, and then Elazer just kind of outplayed him with his tactics and speed.
Maybe like the 5 base and straight 5 Stargate carrier is also slight overkill. Like, I feel like we often can see like 3 carriers at once being produced, and then maybe some static defenses, you know, because that 4th base was very exposed as well. We had no cannons there, not a single battery either. Like, Archons do fantastic against Lingron buys. If you have a battery there, you put it against the Nexus, and it can take care of a lot. Right now, things are looking fantastic for a Polish Zerg. Let's get ready for Game 3 on Acropolis.
In the top left, on match point, he is
Ego Esports, Elazer.
On the right bottom side, this man is on the ropes. Let's see if he can bring it back. Hailing from America, it is
Team Neeb.
You know, I really feel like Ephemeron was Neeb's best chance out of the maps, and then just even with the openings, strategically what was going on. How do you pull yourself up at this point on Acropolis?
It's very tough, but on the other end, this is what you've been fighting for all year long, right? So I guess you gotta shake it up, shake it off, and just somehow try to stay calm and composed. But I'm with you, like, losses always sting, but I think that one stings extra bad because it feels like he lost it by one single move in a phase in the game where that's not supposed to happen anymore. He was getting very close to being in a very sweet, comfortable setup. I think a lot of things were starting to look really well. Just losing track of the army like that. He is not supposed to lose that many units against just Lings and Banes off creep and a couple Hydras coming over a bridge as well.
Right? Oh, I know, yeah. Well, I think that was part of the brilliance of the play of Elazer is he was hitting everywhere. If you looked at the mini-map, he had full vision of everything that wasn't Neeb. He had all his stuff right up near Neeb. He had Burrow to cause more confusion. He had Overlord dropping going on. Groups of Lings and Banes absolutely all over the place. And for a bit, Neeb defended quite well, but you know, you have that one slip up and things can fall apart very quickly.
Neeb was so rich as well, so that makes it even more of a shame. It's not that he was like a struggling Protoss of 60 probes. Like, no, he was looking good, right? 80 workers.
He was at like 78 probes for a long time, which made me even happier about the 5 Stargate, which, I mean, I don't subscribe to that style. I think that it has its time and place, and Neeb found its time and place there.
No, a lot of things were looking good, and that makes it an extra painful loss. Of course, great movement. I must say, I saw a couple flashes there of the Elazer that I was such a big fan of in 2016, because when I think back of his like ZvP back then, 2017 as well, of course, but even in 2016, he was already so fun to watch with non-stop bailing run-bys.
Yeah.
He had fantastic games back in the days against Showtime, you know, there was always the Archon Immortal Storm against the Banes coming in from every angle. And that was a little bit of old school Elazer, and he made it work.
Yeah, I do like to watch that type of style. It's very, very fun indeed. Now, the Adept shades in.
Gets it wrong.
Yeah.
That's always good. Might get a second one here. No.
Are we going to see Overlord speed?
On Acropolis? I don't think so.
More
Elazer
like
is a
from a
pretty-
laser?
No.
I don't think so.
Elazer is a greedy boy. And also, I think if you're up 2-0, then you're always a little more confident in being an extra greedy boy, right?
Sure. And yeah, it seems as if he is skipping it. He should have started it by now. And the Phoenix comes out, so that's about all he needs to know anyways for now.
Just catching a glimpse of the Stargate here is actually pretty sweet, because you can take a look at that Stargate and you'll see that it's not a second Phoenix or something really weird like a Void Ray, but no, it's just an Oracle, so it's actually a pretty successful scout. I feel like that Twilight is quite fast behind it, so maybe he's gonna go for some Glaive stuff here?
That looks like a Glaive one.
With 3 Adepts out already as well?
Yeah. It definitely, like, this wouldn't be for anything else because you get the Robo at the same time if you were going to go Archon drop or something like that. So, yeah, I think we're going to see some Glaives coming up.
You know what I always like, and I see very few players do it, like I understand it's a bit gimmicky and risky. Well, that's quite a fast lair, by the way, 4-minute lair. All right, we'll keep a close eye on that as well. Is that I feel like Classic is one of the only Protoss that's sometimes comfortable with just proxying a pylon and a gateway out on the map.
Yeah.
But he gets so much success with it as well. Like, and I understand that you can't do that 5 times in a best of 5, of course, because eventually they all start looking for it. But this is such a big tournament. People do get nervous. This is going to be Queen Ling Roach. I mean, like, Elazer is already making a lot of units. He may be anticipating these adapts, but I have the feeling as well that he's relentless in his counters in general.
Yeah. Okay, Overlord speed started now. You think this is going to be a Nidus?
I think it's going to be something very aggressive. I don't know what it is. It could be Nidus. He could also just put Queens in Dropper Lords or something. I don't know. Like, but I do think
What year are we in? Queens in the Drop Lords.
You'll see then, you'll see. Never underestimate an aggressive Elazer.
Yeah.
If he takes care of all these adapts, I don't see any reason for him to back off. Oh, there's a Nidus. Okay. Well, that's a good way to do it as well.
The ultimate right there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nidus on the way.
That's very strong, by the way, against Glaive Adepts, because Adepts are not good. Yeah, they're going to be good against these Lings. This is an easy fight. He cancels Overlord speed immediately as well. But the bigger problem for Neeb, does Neeb even have a Robo yet? I don't think he does.
No, I don't think he does.
How is
he's
it?
got
Okay.
a Stargate. Okay, he's adding 2 Robos
Oh
behind
no,
us.
and he's actually going to lose one of them here as well. But these Robos are always going to go down. He cannot have the Robos there that exposed because he can never keep them alive against the Nidus network.
Yeah, you might be right about that one. But let's see how long Neeb can keep him in his base. These Adepts shading up into the main base, starting to pick off some of these drones.
He's going to spot the Nidus immediately, but I think those Robos are going to be the death of Neeb here. Like, he's doing some really good damage here. He's going to recall Dabs, that's nice and all, but he has nothing that's good against Roaches and Queens at this point. I don't see how you keep these Robos alive then.
Yeah, it seems very difficult, but shield batteries are going to be a part of that, no doubt about it. Now, Elazer getting ready to try to push up this ramp. We do have a Sentry, not a lot of energy on that Oracle.
Immortal immediately. Would you go Immortal Prism here or Immortal?
Immortal.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have to utilize Force Field, Shield Batteries, and Immortals to just put out enough damage to chew through the Queen transfusions.
Well, Neeb is, I do like that he recalled a couple of adepts because it gives him a little more staying power, but there's Ravages in the mix as well, so these force fields are not going to keep you safe for days. The first Immortal is almost out, and these Immortals need to put in a lot of work.
Yeah, they certainly do. One of them pops out, already triggering the shield. It is dealing a lot of damage. The Oracle falls, a lift on a Ravager here. Oh my god, the shield battery definitely doing a lot of work. But Elazer still with a lot of units left over.
Yeah, the focus fire so far has been really good by these Immortals, right? Shooting only at roaches, so they're dealing the maximum damage. Neeb is trying to do whatever he can. He's got just one more pylon there, I believe, powering that right robo. It's important that these Immortals stay alive. More Lings come in. Lings will start getting on top of that Immortal. The micro, but Neeb is sick. But the Immortal does finally fall.
In fact, 2 of them fall. 2 more about to pop out, though. Almost no gateway units left over. Lings on top of these adepts, keeping them busy. The shield battery's just about empty now as well.
Hold. I actually think this might be a hold. I mean, he's still wiping in a couple of adepts. The adepts are fantastic against the Lings, and the Immortals is still working on the roaches. Maybe he can go for the Nidus network there. That's exactly what Neeb wants to do, and he gets it.
All right. Well, there is the second Nidus out behind, but that is going to slow down reinforcements a little bit. Does go ahead and unpower those 2 robos, which is very painful, though.
Yep, you need to repower those. ASAP, and a few more adepts are really necessary here to take care of the Zerglings. One Queen is super low in HP, by the way.
Oh, he's going to try to break through that wall right there. Actually, the Ling's just fighting adepts, so that's kind of good for Neeb for a second, but oh my god, getting rid of the pylon once again. Elazer pounding down this front door.
Neeb's economy is still slightly better than the economy of Elazer, but it's so important that he can repower these robos.
This is really painful right now. More Ravagers coming up. They're trying to get rid of these pylons. Another one goes down. Finally, one finishes. One of the robos is powered again, which means another Immortal will pop out.
And the Queens are finally starting to fall here as well. Neeb, with his tournament live on the line, is putting up an absolute heroic effort here, and it may very well be enough. He saves that Immortal too. Barrier activated at the right moment. I would send that Immortal back for a bit, Neeb.
Yeah.
It's done its job for now. What a hold with your tournament live on the line. Are you kidding me? That's sick.
Yeah, this is a little bit crazy. Elazer does not have a lot of drones at home. He has to make this work. Oh, another Immortal pops out right there. He does pick off the very injured one. A couple force fields going down, and I think that's it. GG is called, and Neeb with a miraculous hold.
That is absolutely stunning. That is stunning, Neeb. Wow, with your tournament live on the line, 0-2 down at the global finals, you pull off a hold like that, opening up with that many adepts against a Roach Queen Nidus all in with exposed robos. The focus fire, if you would replay that fight and you would look at what the Immortals were shooting at for the first 30 seconds of the fight, nothing but roaches, okay? So it's nothing but bonus damage over and over and over again. Of course, if you guys don't play all the time, they do less damage against Queens and Ravages than they do against Roaches. So it's super important that the Immortals target the Roaches. That was fantastic. Nerd chills, Artosis.
Yes, seriously, actually. My heart is beating extra fast right now. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we come back, game number 4. right, we are back. Neeb with a miraculous hold against Elazer in game number 3 brings this set forward one more game.
Some would say it was absolutely perfect. That was really cool. I honestly thought that was it. Like, I was like, we're opening up with that many glaives and tabs, the robos exposed. I was like, oh no, not like this, you know. Neeb deserves more. I like both these guys a lot, but it would obviously be fantastic to see the American at least make it to game 5. And then it could be anybody's game. But we're still in it. Next map is going to be played on Triton, as you guys can see. So far, every single game that he has opened glaives, he's won. So Neeb, I'd say do it one more time.
Yeah. I've been a fan of that pattern recognition as well. We definitely saw that against Rogue earlier. We'll see, though. I mean, it's his tournament to win or lose. Here we go into map number 4. Top left, bringing a lot of variety to this ZvP match. He is
Ego Esports, Elazer.
And in the right bottom side, hanging on for his dear tournament life, hailing from America, it is
Team Neeb.
So what are we doing, Roddy? Are we just praying for glaives?
I'm always praying for glaives, double Stargate, Phoenix, +1 AWP is in the Dark Shrine then, but nobody has done it so far yet, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, you got to get a little bit better, Roddy, and make it into the tournament if you want to see that build.
2020, Roddy, Dan. And
Yes.
you can call all my builds, you're going to look like the smartest caster of all time.
That's true. I definitely know all about your strats. Like, and this is where he goes, mass carrier disruptor.
We'll see. No, we'll see what Neeb does. Like, I don't know. It's hard, right? Like, there's so much pressure on these guys as well. Like, it's always easy for us. We look at the games, and we want to be entertained. We want to see good StarCraft, and we're expecting good StarCraft out of these guys because this is the global finals, and they definitely have been giving it to us. But then we'll also see a lot of errors. But that, of course, is a lot because of the pressure as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you work all year long to get here. You play for an insane amount of money. And it could all be over in 2 best-of-5s. I mean, it's brutal.
Yeah, the difference between making it out of this group phase and not is so gigantic. It's like, do you go to California and play in BlizzCon? Also, the prize money gets huge.
It's like a WCS championship. That's what it is.
It's something like that. It reminds me of, like, a global finals.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, no, totally.
So Neeb was able to get the hatchery block off, forcing Elazer to expand a little bit further towards the right. And I think that's always a nice way to start off your game. Zerg players really don't like this. This hurts your economy for the next few minutes. I actually think it's still a bigger deal than people think it is.
Oh, yeah?
Stargate it is.
You think it's a big enough deal to do it all the time?
If you are convinced that you can always get it,
Yeah.
then I think you should. But if Zerg players pick up on the fact that you send out your probe super early, they can also keep expanding earlier.
Yeah.
And then it really backfires.
Well,
right?
that's where it gets hilarious. I've seen some Zergs that will just always expand earlier. They skip like 2 drones,
Yeah,
and their
it's like-
probe doesn't even come.
It's like, it's a 13 hatch. It's like, is this even a thing? Like, this doesn't even make any sense.
Why are we even making an overlord here? Come on. Well, Stargate on the way right now. Singling going to come in for the scout. See exactly what's up. Nice little slip in.
Well, don't need to get Overlord speed if you can just get a Zergling in the main base.
Totally.
Right?
This is one of Dark's favorite moves, is to just get a Zergling in your base and see what you're doing right away.
Oh, both adapts actually going to shade in, but the focus fight so far is a bit off by Neeb. I think he got distracted by that Zergling. 1 drone, I believe that was. Yes, 1 drone and 2 Zerglings. I think he was distracted by the Ling in his main base, because as a world-class Protoss player, Neeb of course knows that it's very important to always keep your adapts close to each other, because they can never get surrounded. And ideally you want to get them close to each other and tuck them between mineral patches or minerals and a gas. None of that stuff happened.
Could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Oh, that's a sweet save.
That's a Roddy move right there if I ever saw one.
I didn't want to say it myself. No, that was beautiful. I love it. That was quick as well.
Yeah, no, that was beaually executed from Neeb. Really
honestly,
identified the situation.
And honestly, very important too, because imagine if he loses that, then he needs to use Pulsar Beam at home. I mean, he might still want to have to use that. But the Oracle wasn't even out yet, so he had nothing. He couldn't wipe in a unit, so actually a very crucial save.
And honestly, a beautiful play from Elazer. He ran up exactly at the last moment that you would have to cancel the battery at. And of course, Neeb knew that was going to happen, so he had the Oracle waiting there as soon as it came out. But this is actually, so far, I mean, a wonderful game.
Yeah, it's so funny right now. Sometimes you can get very excited because it may look like, oh, none of these things really matter, but they're actually both making all the correct calls.
Yeah,
and
yeah, it's like a perfect back and forth, like on guard, touche, you know, the going, it's just like, yeah, no actual damage has been done because they're both playing awesomely.
Exactly. So we see the Evolution Chamber being morphed in for Elazer, and he's going up to Lair as well. Plenty of queens are out, and he's still making a couple of additional queens. Neeb is getting 2 more gateways. Does that mean he's going up to 5 gates now, or that's kind of odd?
So, he does have that 3rd Oracle. He's making some Mortals right now.
This is going to be one of those prep builds where it's just a lot of Stalkers, Sentries, and 1 Immortal and a Prison.
Well, I'm not a big fan of those. At least he's not getting +1.
I'm with you. I'm also not the biggest fan. Well, that's another gateway, so I think that's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, definitely seems that way.
Do we have a Roach
his
one
worker
yet?
count, though, he's making workers. He's on 45.
Do we have a Roach one yet?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just +1 Lings at the moment.
Then this could be very, very effective, right? Wow, he's going straight into
Hydra
Hydras
extend. Yeah, no, if he hits, there's some real possibilities here.
for Neeb.
Yeah.
I mean, if it doesn't work now, it's safe to say that it's never gonna work, right?
No, totally.
Because it's a 64 drone Zerg with Hydra Bane tech on the way, no Roach Warren. But it's important that if you want to start attacking, you gotta get going.
Yeah, he's gonna attack. He's gonna attack. I
Yep.
mean, he just warped into Stalkers. You're not just making Stalkers right now. It's not like a build.
Then you gotta start going, though.
It's such a weird amount of workers. Look at this. He's sitting on 50 workers right now. He's really kind of selling the base, isn't he?
It looks real. It looks real. These Oracles are getting a lot of damage as well. Ideally for Neeb, Elazer now wants to reproduce those workers. But Elazer's not doing that yet.
He's making Hydras.
Yeah, he's just making Hydras for now. I mean, timing is everything here. It's very important for Neeb that he doesn't turn around, that he doesn't get distracted by Lings. He needs to go. He can kill 6 to 10 Hydras. He is not going to be able to kill like 18 or 20 Hydras.
Well, this little counterattack coming down with the Lings. He leaves a single Adept here and an Oracle that's going to run out of energy very quickly. Okay, a Warp in to help out at this base. A few Zealots coming in. But really what we need to see is this attack from Neeb.
Yep.
This is the important part of the game. This is what will decide everything.
Yep, he has a couple of force fields. That Warp Prism, by the way, is so freaking important. You cannot lose it here. You shouldn't lose it. There are no Roaches this game. There's no Ravager, no Corrosive Bow. Force fields are going to be very important, but Neeb needs to start going.
This is actually a lot of Hydra starting to pop out. The Queen's coming down here as well. A lot of good force fields. The Stalkers dealing their damage out here. Nice transfusion there from Elazer. A huge concave as well. The 2 Oracles fly in, but think better of it and turn around.
Oh no, the Warp Prism gets sniped, and that is an absolute disaster for Neeb. That means that these units are going to be in quite a bit of trouble. I mean, Elazer is only at 54 drones, but he's got Hydra tech right now. If I was Neeb, I'd probably drop a Robo Bay, as crazy as that sounds.
No, you are actually completely right on that, because in this situation, what I'm looking at right now, this looks like 100% win Elazer. If you just make your Lingbane Hydra from here, we don't have any splash damage. We lost our Immortals. There's no sentries. It's like you have limited resources here. You can't build everything that you need. So something like Disruptors or Colossus would probably be his best chance, I would say.
Yep. He's got a little bit of money in the bank as well, Neeb that is, so could have maybe sneaked in the Robo base, second Robo, but for now it's going to be Templar Archives, and he's probably going to try to get Storm. Now, of course, Storm is fantastic against Banes if you can get enough of it. Elazer with that hold, I really think that little Link counterattack just gave him enough time, right?
Yeah.
And I really wish that Neeb would have gone off like the 44 probes or the 46 probes rather than going up to 50, because it really made all the difference between fighting against 10 Hydras or 20. And 20 is just too much.
Yeah, his army really was not created to kill that much, unfortunately. Not really that many sentries in there. Well, right now, I mean, he's trying to fill out his tech, getting that charge, getting that +1 in Storm now. But Elazer in good shape. He's sending out a drop. He's starting to break down some of these rocks as well.
Don't forget that those are +1 Lings already, right? And +1 is not done yet on the side of Neeb. So even just dealing with 8 Lings with +1 is very, very frustrating as a Protoss.
Yeah, down they drop. He's going to have to send some units up here immediately to deal with these Lings. They're causing him a lot of lost mining time. Killing just a few probes there. This is, it's looking dire.
Does Elazer think he's a Terran player or something with dropping units and picking them up again?
Yeah, what is this? It's like, oh, I better get out of here before he gets back.
It's like
He's like walking around with the Hydras looking for Protoss creep to clear or something.
Well, Neeb is probably quite happy that at least he's still alive and he's getting Storm now. And obviously, as long as you have Storm, there is always a chance.
Yeah. Well, you know, to be honest, I'm a little bit surprised how many workers Elazer actually ended up making this game. You know, after that initial attack and he kind of killed all the tech units, I felt like Elazer really had some opportunities to put pressure on Neeb before Neeb got all his tech done. But I feel like it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a great place to be a Zerg with 4 bases and 80 drones, but did you need that this game? I feel like it's giving Neeb some sort of chance to come back.
Yep, we saw the Drop Lord getting sniped there with a couple of Zerglings inside, so that's nice for Neeb, but losing both Oracles, and then keep in mind what happened on Ephemeron as well, right? Where he just completely lost track of the dynamic army movement of Elazer. Losing both Oracles like that could get very painful. These Hydras are a little by themselves there. These Zealots are like, hey, we can actually fight this, because there are no Banelings. What are those Banelings doing?
Whoa!
Elazer with some proper F2ing over here, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on right there. Definitely messing up his army movement. He is making a lot of Lings and Banes at the moment, chasing after this group of Zealots, so he will be able to clear that reasonably easily, but the rest of it, Neeb's army going up here.
Storm maybe? Oh no, Nine Templars on creep. Oh no, that actually worked out for Elazer. Neeb, you gotta get out of there, because there are like 25 more Banelings morphing, by the way.
Rotterdam.
It was painful.
That was... Neeb was making some good moves, man, and now he just lost 6 High Templars to Banelings that just barely connected.
That last High Templar is going to go down as well. One more Storm. These Archons, he needs to start splitting the army here a little bit. A lot of Banelings rolling into the middle of the pack, splashing over all of these Protoss units.
And this is just terrible for Neeb. He's losing everything that's expensive here. Just a few units left over. He is doing some counter harassment, but the entire army of Neeb is going to go down.
This is the 4th base, though, right?
Yeah, it's too much, though, and GG is called. Neeb, unfortunately, eliminated from the global finals.
Elazer will keep his dream alive of making it into the playoffs once again. Don't forget, he has a perfect record when it comes to getting out of the groups at the global finals.
Yeah.
He did it in 2016 and he did it in 2017. 2018 he didn't make it to the tournament, but he's back in 2019 and he's now 1 map away from making it into the quarterfinals once again.
And he's on a hot streak right now. Obviously, he's just shown a lot of his play, but I feel like he's freestyling more than some of the other Zerg players. So even though he showed a multitude of strategies there, and I'm sure Trap and his coach and his teammates are watching that and trying to analyze it for him, I don't think that that's going to like bite him in the butt like it has some of our other non-Korean players.
Yeah, I mean, what do you really take away from that series? He's like, okay, he likes Banelings and he can do it all. I said map, but I mean series, of course. Anyway, let's hear from the man himself as he's on stage with Smix.
In this elimination match, it came down to Neeb taking on Elazer, but Elazer keeps his tournament life alive here at the WCS Global Finals. So first of all, congratulations on that, Elazer. This is your first time here at the WCS Global Finals in 2 years. You know, what is it like to keep your tournament life alive and keep this streak going?
I mean, you make it sound 2 years, but it was just I skipped only 1. Yeah, I mean, it feels good to be back. I mean, I feel like it was very disappointing last year to not make it. I mean, I'm always somewhere around the top 10 for the 4 years, and back then I was, I don't know, 11 maybe. So yeah, last year was a bit disappointing. This time, back to normal, in my opinion. But obviously, there's a lot of good players in Europe. It's difficult to get here.
And just now you were up against Neeb, and Neeb is of course an opponent that you've played many, many times. For a while it was looking good for Neeb in the head-to-head score, but most recently you were able to win in your most recent match. So going up against him today in this elimination match, how did you feel that it would go?
I thought it's gonna be a very hard match. I think Neeb and Trap they have different play styles, they have different weaknesses and strengths, but the difficulty level is pretty much the same for both of them. So yeah, I thought it's gonna be very hard. but I knew that I prepared well, and I think I figured out some of his weaknesses. So recently I do it a bit better, but yeah.
We're in an era where a lot of Zerg players are showcasing their love for Nidus Swarm host, but with you, it doesn't seem like you like to go that route as much. So personally, for yourself, you know, how do you rate your ZvP, and what are your preferences?
I think my ZvP is probably my best matchup right now because I prepared mostly for ZvP for this group. Maybe ZvZ is similar to that. ZvP definitely the worst, but yeah, ZvP I feel pretty good. I didn't use the Swamphost Nidus. I mean, since I watched the Rogue play it, I realized it's pretty good. Like I might use it in the future, maybe next series. Who knows if Trap is here? But yeah, ZvP is pretty nice right now.
Last question. I know that you had just mentioned it yourself that Trap and Neeb are very two different players. So in your eyes, you know, what are the stylistic differences when you look at a player like Trap?
Neeb and Trap, well, I think Neeb is a bit more greedy, and he prepares more, so he plays more unique builds, tries to catch off guard your opponent, and Trap is more solid mechanically. So like we could see that in the Oracle control, he killed me with the Oracle Salon. I think this year is gonna be better, but yeah, those are the differences. I think Neeb is more preparation-based player, and Trap is just solid overall, but I feel more predictable for sure.
Well, congratulations once again on staying alive with this elimination match. Of course, you are facing Trap next, and of course, that will be our last match to look forward to in this round of 16 group stage. We are going to be right back after this commercial break. It'll be Elazer taking on Trap.